Okay. Chairman, we're live now.
Okay, thanks, Lynn. Good evening, councillors and members of the public that have joined us, and welcome to you all. My name is Graham Moore. I'm the councillor for Fulridge and the chairman of this committee. Do we have any apologies, councillors? I've tried going through the list, Lynn, and I can see that Councillor McCullum is not here. Is there anybody else missing? Awful feedback. Could you all check that you're muted, please?
Chair, the noise going on.
Chairman, if you could perhaps ask the speakers to mute the microphones as well until they're invited to speak.
Yeah, I have done. I can't see any that aren't other than the phone in. That's skewed it. Whoever that was, it was probably you. Thank you very much. Okay, so we'll go back to my original question. So I've gone down the list at the side. I see that Councillor McCullum's not there. Are there any others missing? Because it's very difficult.
Butterworth is missing as well.
Say again, sorry.
Councillor Butterworth is missing as well, I think.
Right. Any declarations of interest? Anybody? No? As always, councillors, if I move on too quickly and I've missed you, just speak up, please, and I'll come back to you. Okay, I won't miss you if there's something you feel you need to say. So now we're on to public question time. I have Aaron Cross. Welcome, Mr. Cross.
Welcome, thank you. Boris. Good evening. Really, I'm here just to talk about the access road to my property, which is Parsonleigh Farm in Wycoller, and the problems that I'm having with Lancashire County Council basically not maintaining the road, which gets worse and worse and worse. And it now appears that it is deliberate neglect on the part of the council. As you know, we've had a spell of bad weather, and this has washed a lot of the edges out of the road, and it's really quite dangerous. It's now a safety issue, and it really is just a question of, I'm not entirely sure what the committee does. I'm not entirely sure the roles within the committee, and whether there is any help available or any leverage which can be applied to try and resolve the situation.
Okay, and we'll try and answer that. As I say, I'm not cutting across you. I think most of us are quite aware of your situation. I've made a few inquiries, so I also have a handle on it, although I don't live on that part of the patch.
Sure.
So your question is, what do we do, and what can we do to help you? Well, you've come to us at the end of the process in some respects, if I understand it, because you've been chasing LCC through the courts, and also you've brought it to the attention of the MP, yeah, which is way above our pay grade, really. We're much more at the bottom. Pendle Council has no responsibility or any money for maintaining the roads. What we can do as councillors is act as sheepdogs and keep nipping at the heels of LCC and other people to try to get them what they should be doing, which is the case as far as you're concerned. The only thing I can suggest, unless other councillors have got any other suggestion, is that we write to LCC and say how disappointed we are with their response to you. But that's really pretty much as far as we can go that's going to have any impact. Do I think we'll be successful? Honestly, no.
Okay.
If I can stop you there, otherwise it will turn into a long discussion, which is
cool.
Not the purpose. So I'll let councillors come in now. Councillor Lord has indicated she wishes to speak.
Thank you.
Well, surprisingly, very surprisingly, on 2 issues last year that I had with Lancashire County Council, I contacted the County Councillor Jeff Driver, who shut people up and got the job done. So I would suggest that gentleman contacts his local county councillor or a county councillor or County Councillor Jeff Driver. That I'm sure other people will come up with different suggestions, but it worked for me.
I did, just so you know, Councillor Lord, yesterday when I first saw Sharon's name and I made some inquiries, I did flag up to the county councillors or county councillor that this was a problem, so they were aware of it. But Mr. Cross, have you contacted the county councillors for the area? As Councillor Purcell and Councillor David Whip, have you spoken to them?
Well, with regard to Councillor Purcell, I actually drove her up the road, and the result was that she screamed. She was frightened. And it's one of those issues where you actually have to drive the road to see it. But one of the biggest issues that I have at the moment is if you report any of the individual defects on the road, the report, they acknowledge that there is they acknowledge that you've written, and then a couple of days later it says that the work has been completed, when in fact nothing has been done whatsoever. And I imagine this is more to do with demonstrating at some point that their system works and their figures are great, but in actual fact no work is done. When they do work, it's normally with loose stones which wash into the beck. You will have probably noticed or heard that Wycollar at the ford was banked with sandbags recently after the storm. One of the issues is that there are tons and tons and tons of loose stone that gets washed into the beck, which can't be great from a flooding perspective, not to mention the fact that it starts the process all over again because there are no permanent repairs. Every repair is temporary and washes out as soon as the weather is bad.
Plus also I do realise road planings, which they often use, is not very environmentally friendly. I think the best thing is that I will ask Lynette, our assistant, to organise a letter to County Council, to the Councillor Jeff Driver, and say that we're very disappointed with the county's response to your complaints and your issues, and ask him if he could look into it and let's see where it goes. I know that sounds a bit weak.
No.
There's not a lot else that we can really do, unfortunately.
Would it be something that the scrutiny committee might look at in terms of their behaviour?
We don't have a formal scrutiny committee now under the present system. If a system's not working, then as an area, it's Colne area in our responsibility, we can take it up through the council ourselves. That's the borough council, but this is a county council matter, really.
Sure.
We have no jurisdiction or funds for road repairs. That's the issue.
Well, I appreciate that.
So the county council, I mean, if you've had Councillor Purcell and I know David Whip as well, they're both very active county councillors. If they can't shake any action out of county, I don't hold out a lot of hope. I know that's not what you want to hear, but I'm being honest. We'll write a letter from the committee. We'll ask the committee secretary to draft that for us and say that we are very disappointed with their response and ask them to look into it.
Chairman,
if I can stop you there, anybody else wish to speak?
Chairman, it's Neil.
Yeah.
Chairman, I'm not promoting this by any means, but it's like with any government function, if you're dissatisfied with the way that you've been dealt with, Mr. Cross, as I said, I'm not advocating this, but there are processes you can go through in terms of complaints procedure, and then ultimately the Parliamentary Commissioner for Maladministration, the Ombudsman. So, as I said, I'm not advocating that, but that's if you're dissatisfied with performance, that's the way to deal with that. That's how we would advise somebody if they were not satisfied with our performance, ultimately.
It's not an avenue that's open to me, unfortunately, and the reason for that is that the Ombudsman will only deal with an issue where there isn't a redress through the courts. The problem is that LCC manipulate the court system by throwing loose stones into the potholes on the day of the hearing. And as you might know, the magistrates can only determine whether a road is in or out of repair on the day of the hearing. So they found a way around it. And the Ombudsman won't deal with it because you can go to court. But in actual fact, it isn't really an option that's open.
I think we understand, Mr. Cross. As I say, I can't give you a lot of hope. We will try. So
Okay.
let's leave it there because we do have a big agenda to get through. Thank you for your time, and I wish you well. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Graham?
Yeah.
Neil Butterworth's really struggling to get into the meeting.
Okay.
I wonder whether Lynn may give him a call, perhaps to try and help. Is that possible?
Okay. Is there somebody backing you up, Lynn, in the office?
Yes, there is. Yeah, we'll get in touch with it. We'll send him another invitation to the meeting and call him if need be.
Okay, somebody will take care of that. Thanks, Jonathan. Okay, moving on if we can then. Minutes of the last meeting. Are we happy with that? If I hear nothing to the contrary, I'll assume that's everybody in favour. Passing those then. Progress report. I asked Lynn to speak to Philip Milesdale to get an update on our query about the cemetery gates. That was sent out to you today, so you can see where you are there, whether you're happy with that or not. Remains to be seen. Anything else on the progress report? No? Okay, community safety partnership.
Sorry, Graham.
Yeah, go ahead.
I just would like to ask the question of Margaret, really. I read the response from David Walker about the cemetery gates, and he said one was always closed to stop vehicular traffic. I just wanted confirmation from people who know, sort of Margaret, Neil, whoever, whether that is the state of affairs as presented.
Absolutely not. I can say that. I mean, I haven't got photographs to prove it, but no, that is not the case.
We couldn't say it's never been
No.
the case, but certainly there are plenty of occasions when it's not.
I went Tuesday and both gates were open.
Okay. Well, the only thing I can suggest is perhaps the next time they are open, somebody takes a picture which has got a date on it, do it a couple of days on the trot and send it off to David Walker and say, well, you've been telling us porky pies, and see what he says. I mean, I don't think we should let it go. I think we should keep nibbling at it until we get the result we should get.
Yeah, I actually drove through on Tuesday. I should have taken a photograph. Of course I should, but I didn't.
Yeah. Well, slowly, Margaret. You know, we've got plenty of time. The next time you see it, just do that and then ask the question. So it's obviously not working, is it? You know.
No.
All right. Unless anyone's got any other suggestions on that. No. Okay. Community safety issues. I don't think we have anybody from the police. Lynn, do we? This time?
Yep. Yes, we do.
All right. Good evening. Sorry, I can't see anything on my screen. So
it's held 22 Desmond and the $sign at the end.
Ailsa, do you want to speak? Sorry.
Sorry, good evening, everybody. Yeah, I'm sorry, I'm currently self-isolating, working from home. So I'm not used to this, and obviously not in uniform.
Good.
Go ahead.
Do you want to give us an update of crime figures, or is there anything you want to raise before we raise issues with you, really?
Well, I'm presuming you've all got the crime figures in front of you and had an opportunity to look at them. I've not gone into them in detail myself because this meeting, unfortunately, was rather dropped on me. However, obviously, the thing that does stand out is the antisocial behaviour figure, which is up sort of considerably from this time last year. I think generally that's because of the snow. We've had a lot of incidents of youth snowballing, not just each other, unfortunately, but cars and taxis, etc., which I know is an issue that's going on elsewhere and is being dealt with. Other than that, I think the crime figures are generally lower than this time last year, which is all good news.
Good. Well, thank you for attending anyway. It's always a pleasure to see somebody that we can talk to rather than just send emails off into the ether. So, councillors, anybody got any burning issues to raise? Hello, anybody?
Could I just raise something, please?
Yeah, go ahead.
It's about the wall on Shore Street. There was an accident there about a month before lockdown, and we're very anxious to get that sorted. Obviously, because it is quite a steep drop, and we contacted PC Lunny this week in order to get the reference number for the vehicle collision, really, but we haven't heard anything. So I wondered if you could chase that up, as I do understand that Matt might be self-isolating, but it's been going on for a year now, and we'd like to sort that.
Yeah, certainly, that's not a problem. Yeah, PC Lunny has been self-isolating. And unfortunately, COVID's broke out in our office rather badly this last week or two. He's back at work, and I will pass that on to him. So yes, I'll do that. Make sure he gets back to you, Alice. Thank you.
Okay, thank you for that. Anybody else? I think that's good, being as you're obviously a bit under the weather. We'll try not to keep you longer than we have. Please pass on our good wishes to you and your colleagues, and I hope you all make a speedy recovery. And thank you for attending.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, councillors. So next up, we've got the planning applications. I did send a quick email around to give you a heads up of what I intended to do. So the first one, 0917, that was referred from last month, awaiting further information. That information has not arrived yet, so I propose from the chair that we defer that till next month and hope that the information we need it comes through in that time. If someone would like to second that, or somebody has any comments on what I've just said, please do.
I'll second Graham.
Yeah, I've got Councillor Greaves has got a hand up, actually, I see. Is that you, Tony? Yeah.
Thank you, Chair. All I wanted to say is that I don't seem to have had an email from you.
Right. Okay. Well, all I did was send it to the committee. I took the committee heading off and forwarded it to all the councillors. So it was this afternoon. So if it didn't come through, I apologise. No. It was just to tell you that I'm going to do what I've just done, really. It was just so it didn't come as a shock.
Yeah. No,
okay with that?
Can I just say, I think it's right, because this has been on for four occasions now, I think. And if there are residents who want to make comment on it when we actually discuss it substantively, then I think they ought to be able to have some advice. And I've been following this with Mr. Watson to see if it's likely to be tonight, and it clearly isn't. So that's the advice I've given people. Yeah. Whether people are going to come and talk about it, I don't know, but they ought to be given...
There are no speakers for this one.
Well, no, there aren't, but there might be if and when
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
to be discussed substantively, yeah.
Okay with that, everybody? So all in favour then of deferral for that one? Yeah. Anybody against? I hear nothing, so that's unanimous. Thank you for that. So the next one is very similar. So 493. So for the members of the public that have still logged in to speak, if you listen to what I'm saying, is we had a change of plan at the 11th hour, and the planning department and various other people will need more time to consider those plans. So rather, I thought than us discuss it all tonight and then do it again in a month's time, what I propose here is we defer this for 1 month to let everybody have a look at the plans, and then it will be on next month's agenda. Now, we still do have speakers that have asked to speak that are on the list. My understanding is if you wish to speak, I will allow you to, but really and truly, you're only going to be repeating what will be said in a month's time. But it's up to you. So I'll go through the list that I have of speakers. Please come back to me if you are here and you wish to speak. So I have Laura Hopkinson, Louise Hopkinson, Helen Clegg, Malcolm Rockford, Sharon Dare, Michael Holhouse, Peter Cunningham, and David Ramsdeen. I've heard nothing, so I'm assuming if there's anybody that is logged in from that group, they are happy to wait a month and then we'll listen to what you have to say. So thank you for that. So I therefore propose from the chair that we defer this application for 1 month. Would somebody like to second that, if everybody's in agreement? Anybody?
I'll second it.
Thank you. All those in favour? I don't hear anybody against. Speak now, please. Okay, so that's unanimous unless I hear anything. No. Moving on. 625. Down for approval. Agricultural Machinery Store, Coal Pit Lane, Troden. Councillors, we have no speakers on this. Anybody wish to speak?
Chair, which did you say 625?
Yeah, I did. The demolition of an existing agricultural machinery store and erection of a detached bungalow.
Yeah, I've got nothing against this application per se, and in the interest of being timely, I would move approval.
Okay. Anybody like to second that? Councillor Greaves? You're on mute, Councillor. Sorry. If you can switch on, start again. Thanks.
Oh dear. Yeah. I mean, this is the one we had before. We had some difficulty with, isn't it? Am I right?
I've got a feeling we've discussed something very, very similar in several locations in the borough over the years.
I've actually missed this on the agenda, believe it or not.
Yeah, this one.
Yeah, sorry. Yes, this is. We had a long discussion. This is John Collinson's farm. Yeah. Sorry, I was confused when you said Troden. They might call it Troden, but it's not in Troden at all. It's in
Coal Pit Lane.
Yes, it's in Colne. And we discussed this at considerable length. We had speakers, and we wanted to pass it, but Mr. Watson said that he hadn't got the agricultural justification for it, which he required, and the agent went away and produced this agricultural, and it's now okay. that's right, isn't it, Mr. Watson?
That's correct, Chairman.
Yeah.
Councillor Greaves, yes.
And I mean, this is a highly successful family farm where Mr. Collinson has run it all his life and wants to half retire. And in order to keep the farm going, he needs to stay on the farm and assist in running the farm. At least that's what he says. He might have other ideas that he's still running it, I don't know. And move into this bungalow. It is entirely sensible. It is a very well-run local business, and it's the kind of farm business, I think, that this country needs for the future. And it certainly, and my understanding is, it produces milk for local supermarkets anyway. So I think it's something that we should support. And so has anybody moved it? Did Councillor Nixon?
Councillor Nixon moved it, so we're looking for some. Yeah. I've just got one question really for Mr. Watson, just to be sure. Is there anything in this arrangement that would stop the owner in 6 months' time selling this as a separate dwelling with its own curtilage?
Sorry, Chairman, yes and no. We've recommending, and the applicants agreed, that we put agricultural ties on not only this, but its existing property. So you never tie it to the land, because you're not supposed to do that as a local authority, but you tie both to being engaged in agriculture. And Chairman, that satisfies us that this property and the existing one will both be used for agriculture in perpetuity.
Is now joining.
That's absolutely fine. Thank you, Mr. Watson. That's fine. So we have a proposal to pass this application as recommended for approval. So all those in favour, please indicate. Would anybody that is against or wishes to abstain, please indicate. Either talk or raise your hand for me. Councillor Greaves still got his hand up, but that's fine. I know he's for it. Yeah, I know you're for it. So, okay, so that's unanimous then that we approve that. Yeah, thank you very much, councillors.
Thank you.
On the next one.
Sorry, Chair.
Yeah, go ahead.
You missed the fact that Margaret and I wish to abstain.
Right, sorry, I didn't see any indication up. So yes, that's noted then. So that's 2 councillors abstain.
Chairman.
Yeah, Neil.
Neil Butterworth. I'm phoning in. I've no video or anything. Just to let you know that I'm here.
Okay, thank you. Are you all right with that, Lynn? Yeah.
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah, it's fine. So we've got 2 abstentions on that one. So next up is 0701. That's 14 Church Street, Colne. I have Levent Geary to talk. Any news on that, Lynn? No?
He still appears to be in the meeting on a phone line. Or is muted.
Hello?
He may be just trying to unmute.
Okay. If you wish to speak on 14 Church Street, Colne.
Chairman, maybe if he hangs up and dials in again, if he's struggling to unmute, he may wish to leave the meeting and join again.
Yeah, sure.
And we could perhaps come back to this.
I'll move to the next one and see if he comes back.
Oh.
Okay, to give him the opportunity of getting in. If somebody at your end, Lynn, could just try and sort him out, that would be appreciated.
Okay, thank you.
So 0838, demolition of existing porch, 55 Harrison Drive, down for approval. Would anybody like to speak or make a proposal?
Chair.
Go ahead.
I'll move approval.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Nixon's wishes to approve it.
I'll second.
Victoria. Victoria, thanks, Victoria. Okay, so we have a proposal on the floor for approval as recommended. All in favour? Anybody against?
11 Girai,
Sarah,
14 Church Street,
Coburn Price.
Is now exiting.
Hello, Mr. Gary, can you hear me?
Chairman, he's just left the meeting. Joanne's going to call him now and try and get him back in.
Okay, I heard him in the background, so I wondered if he was there. Sorry. So where were we? Was there anybody against that? That's the 55 Harrison Drive. Please speak now if you are against or wish to abstain. No? So that's unanimous then. So if you give us a shout as soon as he gets back in the meeting, we'll go back to that planning application at that time, Lynn.
Okay.
All right, so I'll move on down the agenda if I can. Is that somebody? No. Planning appeals.
Chairman, I think he's just arriving now.
Right, okay.
11 Girai, 14 Church Street, Colne.
Mr. Girai, can you hear me?
Hello. Yes, I can hear you now.
Okay, the floor is yours. We will listen to what you have to say. Good evening.
Good evening. Well, I accept all the inquiries and I've changed the plan, and I think we have no issue. I've done everything. I accept everything. I would like to go for it. Then sort it in my shop front as soon as possible.
Okay, that's understood. I got. Have you got anything else you wish to say to us before I call the councillors in?
No, everything is fine. I think we agreed for every details. So I'm okay with it. Yeah.
Okay, fine. So I have Councillor Coburn Price to speak.
I would like to welcome this application. It will represent a really positive change to the conservation area. My only sadness is that Pendle Council didn't hold Mr. Giray's hand right from the beginning, so that to help him along the right path. Because he wasted a little bit of time submitting an application that wasn't compliant with the conservation area. But essentially, all's well that ends well, and I really look forward to seeing the new shop front and wonder whether he is aware that he would qualify for a £500 grant from the Colne bid for signage and painting. Every little helps.
Thank you for that. Do I have somebody to second that? Margaret Foxley? Hand up.
Yeah,
yep.
Just to support what Sarah's just said. It's been a rocky route, but it's got there in the end, and congratulations. Look forward to seeing it all happen. And yes, I certainly second that.
Okay, so we got a proposal on the floor. Councillor Lord, you have your hand up. Do you wish to speak? Yeah.
Yes. Yes, I welcome this as well. And I'd also like to say to the gentleman, just a huge thank you for being one of the very long-standing businesses in Colne. So thank you.
Okay, so we have a proposal on the floor. All those in favour, please indicate, or I will listen to anybody that is against it or wishes to abstain. I've heard nothing, so I'm assuming that's unanimous. Yep. Okay, Lynn, I think that's okay. Thank you very much. Thank you, Mr. Giray. And
thank you.
It's been worth your while phoning in. So it sounds like you've got £500 to spend as well, which doesn't sound so bad, does it?
Thank you.
Good.
Thank you very much.
I wish you all the best.
Thank you.
Okay, we've done planning appeals, I think, unless anybody had a question. It's just a couple of you have still got your hands up. If you could take those down, it might help me. Thank you.
Chairman, Chairman, it's Neil. Could I just propose something that every planning committee is as easy as that for me? Because I think that's the easiest planning night I think I've ever had.
Well, all you've done is kicked it down the road to next month, Neil. We can always do that. There's going to be a payback on
in future. Don't worry, Neil.
Neil, you'll have to come again.
Neil, you'll have to get to bargain booth before next month's council meeting, I think.
My only word of warning, Neil, we've been here before, and I've still been sitting here at 10 o'clock saying, what happened to the evening?
Yeah, I get that. Thank you, Chairman.
Enforcements and unauthorised uses, enforcement actions. Any questions?
Yes, please.
Councillor Coburn-Price, yep.
I would like to sort of quickly canter through three, if I may. Number one, is there an update? Have I stumped Neil?
Chairman, sorry, I'm just getting to the
Okay, well, I'll carry on and I'll give all three then.
11 Girai, 14 Church Street, Colne.
Is now exiting.
The next one is number 6. Some of you may not know, but there has been flooding to the Lidget cottages, partly as a result of storage of water on the site of the Lower Rough, which was released all in a wanna. And there's been an extra flooding event, which actually has damaged people's houses and kitchens and gardens, leaving silt and water, obviously. And the residents have been obviously very distressed about this, but they have seemingly so far had short shrift from McDermott's. One resident was told that McDermott's would come and clear up his garden, and then they didn't get in touch again. So that's obviously very regrettable. And then number 7, which is in Trawden, New Lathe Farm, that surface still remains. So the fencing has gone, but the surface still remains. And I know that Mr. Watson gave an allowance because of COVID restrictions. I just mentioned that. Thank you.
Yeah.
Through you, Chairman. Chairman, Cowfield Farm, 2 things. We now have the appeal in against the decision to refuse, plus there's an application for costs. I won't say too much about that, but that's going to cause us some difficulties. Chairman, we had a meeting with the new legal team last week, and we've asked for prosecutions to be made for non-compliance with that enforcement notice, so that's in with the legal team. Chairman, Windermere Avenue, the breaches were in relation to the site compounds, not related to the current flooding issues, which I am aware that have happened. Chairman, I think those are unrelated to the breaches of conditions, and it is in respect of a developer using their permitted development rights to move soil and spoil around the site, but we did contact them when we got the complaints to try and move them along, and to be fair, they did respond to us saying they were going to deal with that. Whether they have or not, we haven't been up to look at, but it was that use of permitted rights is out with the power that we've got to enforce, Chairman. And the last issue was at New Lathe Farm. Again, Chairman, I've asked the new enforcement officer to go and check. It was a case we discussed with the legal team last week to check whether the surface has been removed. If it hasn't, then it will. They've had plenty of time. It will be a prosecution.
Right, thank you for that.
Thank you so much, Neil.
Anybody else? Going to move on then, if that's okay. So, capital programme. One bit of news that Mr. Watson passed on to me: the money that was put aside for click and collect. It is possible that it could be allowable from the ERDF money. The only trouble is that it's already been spent, so it would be retrospective. So that's something we've got down the line to find out. I've got a speaker for the reopening of the town centre, so we might be able to find out a bit more what's going on there. But capital programme to start off with. Anybody, any other queries? My usual reminder to all councillors that have got any money left in the funds: tick tock, it needs to be spent. Okay. Anissa McGladdery. Good evening.
Hello.
Welcome.
Hello.
Welcome to you.
Thank you very much. I'm a little bit nervous because I can just see faces looking at me. So forgive me if I'm a little bit stuttery.
That's fine. We just give you the opportunity to tell us how you're getting on, really.
Indeed, yes. I wanted to speak this evening just firstly to introduce myself. Some of you may already know me. I've met a few councillors throughout the years. For those that don't, my name is Anissa. I am the new bid officer for Colne Bid. So I've been in place for a few weeks now, and I wanted to do a little update about the virtual high street click and collect delivery hub that was done for lockdown 2. So we did decide to extend that until the end of March, just given the current situation. We felt that it was needed to provide support for businesses to continue until the end of March, until we know what's happening. I did have a document that I had sent out to everybody. Did everybody receive that? Yes, lovely. So I was just going to quickly run through that, if that's okay.
Yep.
So I'm not going to sort of go through every single little thing because I think everybody's sort of aware of what it actually is. So in terms of spend, we spent money redesigning the website, the Come to Colne website, to create the virtual high street for essential shops and for shops that had online shops. We spent money doing social media targeted campaigns from the 9th of November right through to the 24th of December. We had a leaflet campaign for the virtual high street that went out to 20,000 different homes all along the northwest sort of corridor. We had some window stickers produced for those shops that were on the virtual high street, so that if anybody was walking past, they could see that they were actually featured on the virtual high street. We had a video made, which I'm hoping some people have seen the video that went out on social media that did very well organically. Actually, we didn't have to pay too much to get that out there. There was set up of Shopify websites for shops that don't actually exist online yet, and we had put in the budget for 15 and we currently have 10 confirmed. So I've put in there that the figures to be confirmed at the end of March, because we're going to give people a bit more of an opportunity to get used to the idea, and there may be a few others that have dropped through the net. There's the delivery service just detailed there. The figure again is to be confirmed on the 31st of March. So far, we've spent around £750 on UK delivery. And then click and collect, it's been about £50, again, figure to be confirmed at the end of March. So I spent a lot of time uploading the listings for each of these. So that was fun. And yeah, it's still an ongoing project. There's still businesses now contacting me saying that they want to go on there. It's been very successful. There's one success story that I would like to share with you, if that's okay. So Saints Dragons has had 5,500 visitors to the site since November to date, and she's had £4,500 in sales, which for a new website with no paid advertising or any other platforms is actually quite good. And that is 70% UK, 30% USA. And that's just on the website alone. It's not as much as she would have made in a normal shop environment, but that's pretty good going for her. So she's really pleased with that. So there's just some stats on there as well about the where everything's coming from, in terms of where the traffic's coming from to the virtual high street. 61% of that's coming from Facebook and Instagram. Organic searches, so from Google, is just shy of 18%. Direct, where people are typing in cometocolne.com, is just over 17% there. And referrals refers to if they're clicking a link in like a newsletter that maybe I've sent. So Does anybody have any questions or anything that they'd like to ask?
Thank you very much. Councillor Lord.
Hello, Anissa. How are you?
Hello.
I think actually, I've got an echo.
No problem, sir.
The sound isn't very good. But
We can hear you okay.
Sorry?
We can hear you okay.
I know, but it's very annoying when it's echoed. You've answered my question, actually. I was going to ask, in general, how had it gone? But you fully answered that. Obviously, it's been quite successful. Did you say that this was going to be extended till the end of March?
Yes, that's right. Yes, just to support, because the high street's still closed. So we didn't want to just think, right, they have to pay for their own delivery now, we're just going to leave them. I think it was a unanimous vote to do that. I think it's needed.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I myself was very impressed in how quickly this was all set up. You know, an out and delivered kind of thing. Yeah. So well done to the bid team.
I shall pass it. I'll feed it back. Thank you very much. It was a long few days.
I bet. Yeah. Thank you.
We've got Councillor Greaves and then Mr. Watson.
Thanks very much. Welcome, Anissa. Can I, first of all, congratulate you on the report, which is really good to have a report like this written down so we can look at it and understand it, or try to anyway. So thank you very much for such a good report. I suppose if we are still in the situation we're in now at the end of March, what happens then? That's my first question. And what would be required to keep things going after that? Secondly, I've looked at the report and looked at the statistics, and I haven't a clue really how this compares with other places which have tried to do the same kind of thing. Is Colne somewhere in the middle, or better than average, or worse than average, or whatever? And what lessons are there for how it might be done better, if that's necessary, if it has to continue, and this dreadful situation we're in doesn't come to an end, and at the very least, shops can reopen again?
So point one, what we're doing is we're reviewing it monthly. If it gets to March and it's looking like it's going to be extended again, we would have the discussion and look at extending it again if the businesses have to stay closed. It's the ones that are non-essential that really do rely on people going into the shops, that really do need the support. And unique items, like for example, we've set Howard up at West End Models, and he really does rely on people going into his shop. So we really want to provide that support for people. So I would say, in answer to that question, we will review it closer to the time and gauge it from there. In terms of ranking against other towns, if I'm honest, I don't know. I am in touch with the other big managers in the local area, so I can certainly ask the question and find out where we are in terms of statistics and how we are performing. I think what really helped was we got to the Daily Mail and there was a massive surge. You could see the graph just go right up just after that report, which was fabulous. In terms of lessons learned, oh crikey, I think it's just to keep doing what we're doing. I think the way that we handled it and the way that we've delivered the project so far has been really quite positive, and I don't personally think I would change anything other than just keep talking to the businesses and creating those connections and those relationships, because that has definitely been the success of this. Just communicating with them. They've really sort of appreciated the fact that we've been there as a support. So I'd say just for me to continue doing that. I hope that answers your question.
Happy with that? Mr. Watson, you have, I've got Councillor Nixon.
So just a quick couple of points, Chairman. It partly answers, I suppose, what Councillor Greaves has been saying. The click and collect process, which Colne were very much at the forefront, has been recognised in the ERDF funding as being very successful, and to piggyback that on operating at town centres safely. But the government are trying to get that funding confirmed to be able to be used for click and collect schemes. So I think it's just seen generally as a really good thing, and Colne have been at the forefront. And Chairman, so that's one point. Secondly, the reopening High Street funding, the proposal, which hasn't been confirmed yet, is that the ERDF funding can be rolled on till the end of June, but we need to have formal confirmation of that.
Okay, that's a great help, Neil. Thank you. Councillor Nixon.
Thank you, Chair, and thank you, Anisha, for the report. As quite a few of my colleagues will know, I like to venture to the local public houses in Colne quite a lot. And I'm wondering whether the Colne bid gets involved with supporting the pubs. Obviously, they've not been allowed to open at all. Is there any support there now, or will there be support in the future that they can be made aware of and tap into?
So, good question, because that has been on the top of my agenda, because I feel the pubs are the ones that are going to need the more support out of all of the shops and the retail units up and down the high street, because they don't have a physical product to sell that they can sell online. So that's where I found it difficult from a support sense during lockdowns, other than texting them and checking in with them and making sure that they're all okay. What I have been doing actually today is texting all the landlords and asking them to send me some information and a photograph, so that we can do, because we're doing a feature on the Come to Colne Facebook page and Instagram of meet the shopkeeper, meet the owner. And we want to do, I'd like to get the landlords on there and get them really pushed and just get people engaging and talking as in customers about like stories and memories, so that people remember that these pubs and bars are still there. In terms of reopening, again, it depends what it all looks like. I am working on getting some plans together, because it all depends on what tier we get opened into and what that means, whether they stay open or whether they are. Whether they stay closed or whether they do open and there's social distancing measures in, which I'm quite sure there will be, and what that support looks like from us. Like, I want to do things like, you know, like theme nights, like a Peaky Blinders bar crawl, and get all the pubs involved, and especially those little microbreweries down New Market Street, I think would really lend themselves well to that sort of theme. So I would like to do that. I would love to get involved in that and get some ambassadors up and down the town that could really help me push it, and just have a bit of a bar crawl and a really good knees up when everything opens.
Fantastic.
That's my plan.
I love that. If I can come back, Chair, on that, please. The idea of this pub crawl is absolutely fantastic. And especially if I can dress up like a Peaky Blinder, it's Indeed. Just like a dream come true. If I can help get involved in spreading the word, I'd really like to do that if possible. But the question is, do these pubs need to technically be in the town centre to qualify for bid support? For example, the Lord Rodney, which is my local, isn't really in the town centre.
It's not in the bid boundary, so it's an awkward one, because when they're in the boundary and they pay the levy, they're the ones that would take priority for us. What we are looking at is developing associate memberships for those businesses that aren't in the bid area but want to be involved and get the support from the bid. So I would implore any businesses that want that support from us to maybe get in touch, and that's how we would get round it, is to get them into an associate membership, and then they can get that support from us and hence be involved in activity like an awesome Peaky Blinders bar crawl.
Great. But like I say, if I could put myself forward as a volunteer to help spread the word with these pubs, because it's, like I say, they've really struggled. They can't sell beer online, you know. So thank you very much for that.
Welcome.
Okay, thank you for that. So Councillor Nixon, you'll have to make sure you keep their profits up when they eventually open. So unless
don't worry about that. I can see a massive spike. As soon as we can, it's going to go through the roof.
Chair, are we taking a vote on a pub crawl?
Well, I think that's a unanimous one. Even if you don't drink, it'd be nice to get out, won't it? I'm sure we're all feeling that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This meeting just gets better and better.
See what you've done now, Nisa. We'll have to invite you again.
Planting the seed, that's all it is.
So thank you very much for your input. It's greatly appreciated.
Welcome.
Okay. So moving on then, if that's okay. Youth Action Group, Sarah or Margaret, do you want to give us an update on that?
Margaret, would you like to speak on this? Or
you got anything to tell us? If not, we'll move on.
There's lots and lots to tell. Things are progressing at a fast rate. We're really trying to deal with the problems that we've heard about from the police, that, you know, obviously young people are causing quite a lot of problems with residents in Colne and the surrounding villages. And Sarah is doing some amazing work, linking up with people in the youth service, the family welfare service, working with schools, working with all sorts of agencies that could come on board to offer services for young people. And it's all progressing at a very, very fast rate, with some important meetings next week with the youth service. And it's just a lot of hard work, particularly for Sarah and David. And it's just progressing, as I say, very, very quickly and very positively. It's very exciting. The work we're doing also with the police is really quite positive and encouraging, because the police are really on side, and it's very, very positive, and it's great to be working with all these different key players with the same aim in mind, which is really joined up working, multi-agency working, and we're forming some really good partnerships. Sarah, I don't know if you want to say more.
Yeah, just very quickly. Laneshire Bridge very generously awarded us a grant of £3,000 this week, and so that brings the total amount, with the 30,000 that's over 3 years from the Colne bid, to 51,300. I would have applied for some very big grants by now. I'm so frustrated. We can't open a bank account. That's a major stumbling block. All the main banks will not open new bank accounts because of COVID. Anissa has implored the bank manager at Santander, and she's trying to bend the rules for us. That would be great, because we could go for grant funding. Margaret and I have a big meeting on Monday lunchtime with the top brass at LCC. We won't mention the highways issue, then they're not interested in that. But we are hopeful that we will get a tour round the Byron Road building. So we still have the 2-speed rollout for SEAG, which is that we hope, as soon as lockdown is lifted, to offer mobile things that would be things like Burnley FC in the community, or martial arts at the Colne Leisure Centre. We still hope to offer that, but we are doing our best to try to get Byron Road. And Margaret went on a tour with LCC last week when I was on a management meeting with Primit. It's non-stop. And they now, the police have given them the very discreet list. You remember me saying that there were two groups. There were the young people who really are in danger of getting involved with the criminal justice system. And then there's the larger group that are just a bit aimless and possibly a little bit intimidating at Sainsbury's. So that focus group has now been passed to the professionals at LCC, and Burnley FC and the community have a specialist programme that's over 2 years where they work one-to-one with those families. So that leaves us to focus on that bigger group, and that's what we plan to do. And then I've sent most of you, and if I've missed any of you off, get in touch. I'll send you an invitation to a sort of stakeholder meeting, which is on the 18th of February. You don't have to come by any means. Lots of groups are just sending one person. That's absolutely fine. We're just doing our best to progress. And then I think modern people would say a shout out to Barnfield Construction, who very kindly have said today that if I do get Margaret and I get a tour round the Byron Road, then they will send a surveyor with us so that we can eye up all the defects in the building and try and work out what the costs will be. And in that case, and if it's looking good, I'll come after you all for your funding pots and try and pick your pockets before the year end. Thank you very much.
Okay, Margaret, that's great. Has anybody got any other questions or comments? Councillor Nixon, I have. Yeah, I see your hand, Councillor Greaves.
To be fair, I think Councillor Greaves' hand's been up for ages.
Right, sorry, Councillor Greaves, I'll call you then. I wasn't sure whether you'd left it up. Councillor Lord's got hers up. Is that left up, Dot, or is that?
I can't take it down, so I've just.
Oh, right, that's okay. No, it just confused me. That's fine. Councillor Lord. Sorry, Councillor Greaves. Sorry.
Okay. Yeah, I was flashing mine because I'd left it up by mistake. I just wanted to say I haven't had an invitation, but people don't seem to be able to get through to my email addresses. I don't know why. It's probably sent them to the wrong ones. But I'd be grateful for them.
I sent it to your Tony@CIX one.
Well, it's a bit. Anyway, I haven't had it, but if you send it again, that'd be great. Thanks.
Right. Is that it, Tony? Thank you. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Councillor Nixon.
Yeah, thanks. Sarah mentioned that they're really struggling. It's a stumbling block not being able to open up a bank account. I wonder whether they have considered one of the challenger banks like Starling. They don't rely on the high street having to go and sign papers. You can do it all on an app on your phone.
Yeah, Jonathan, sadly, we've got excited. We've literally cast our net wide. We did Starling. A lot of these bank account, online banks and building societies, we tried them as well, won't touch the fact that we are a charitable incorporated foundation. And that's just on their not list. And currently we're waiting with the Yorkshire Bank. We've been waiting since mid-December. We were told it would be a couple of weeks. It's really frustrating.
Will do someone like the Marsden not offer a service?
Yeah, building societies, again, they won't touch the charitable incorporated foundations. We've gone in as a big charity in our setup so that we can potentially hire people and take over buildings, because we didn't want that to be a stumbling block later on. But it's been a stumbling block now.
Oh dear. Right. Okay.
Yeah, Councillor Lord.
I was just going to mention about building societies, but obviously Sarah's covered that. But I will say, even though Colne Bloom wasn't a charity, Colin Hill and I set up a bank account without it being a charity, and it took at least 3 months. It was a nightmare, an absolute nightmare.
It is essentially the COVID situation. many of the major banks, such as HSBC, they are not opening any bank accounts at all. I know I'm not alone. A lady who runs another charity called Minnie Mouths in Colne has got a similar problem.
Okay.
It might get so desperate, I might ask Pendle Council for help. I don't know whether they could help me financially in terms of having somewhere to park this cash.
You'll then get accounts, Sarah, that only they can understand. So you won't want that, will you?
Chair, can I apologise on behalf of my computer to Councillor Coburn-Price? It thought she was spam.
All right.
So I apologise on behalf of my machine.
Glad you found. Just one other thing for you, Sarah, is Together Housing is starting a process now of making places. So they're looking at their estates that aren't functioning as well as they might. And it's a holistic approach that they take, always looking for stakeholders and youth action type groups that involve county council, borough councillors and anybody else is the sort of thing that they're always looking for, because they're very keen on a long-term solution, not a short-term attempt. So further down the road, they might be a go-to organisation to tap into for help in some form or the other.
Graham, if you can send me any details, that'd be very great.
I will do that. Yeah. Anybody else? Okay, thank you very much. So we're now on to the Community Safety Partnership minutes. Anything coming out of that anybody needs to mention? Land off Leigh Street. It's a standing item just about, that one, isn't it? Nobody else? Happy?
Well, Chair, I think we had the meeting and we understood the position of the person from Marrow Developments, and we just have to see if we can find a way through the problems. The note from Marrow, which was on the agenda, I think, or was it there somewhere? It said that they were talking about an adjoining piece of land. Now, did they mean an adjoining piece of land to be added to the development, or did they mean some other land? Do we know? Because there has been discussions in relation to the High Chrome site, which I had a discussion with Councillor Coburn-Price about a couple of days ago. And
it actually says that this.
I don't know why we haven't got a problem science agenda this time, but perhaps we'll only have it every fortnight, every 2 meetings. But does that refer to that, or does it refer to an adjoining piece of land to the Leigh Street? And if so, which is it?
Mr. Watson?
Yeah. It is land we own near to the allotments there. I haven't got a plan to hand, but it is not divorced from the site, Chairman. It is actually adjacent to it, but I haven't got the plan, sorry, to hand to show.
I wonder if Mr. Watson could let us know. Well, whichever it is, it has some impact on it.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, so Mr. Watson will do that, so that's fine. You happy with that? Yeah, everybody?
Chairman.
Yeah, go ahead. Councillor Clegg.
I'm not sure whether I can help Councillor Greaves out here or not, but I have had some involvement with some of the land down there regarding access to the allotments that the town council have. And as far as I am aware, the second piece of land that they are considering adding to it to make it a bigger development is the piece between the land that Councillor Greaves is primarily talking about and the allotment land. There's another piece of land in between, and I think it's that piece of land.
Okay.
There is. I mean, I hate to start talking about this land again, There's the top allotment land that belongs to the town council. There is the middle allotment land, which has been in dispute in various ways for too long. And then below that other allotment land, there is some overgrown land, which was never included in the allotments when Graham White, a very long time ago, laid them all out because it was too full of hollows and bumps and all sorts of things, and trees, I think. So if it's that land, that belongs to Marrow. To the best of my knowledge, it does not belong to this council. The only land that the council owns in that area, to my knowledge, is the amenity area, so-called, in the corner of Knott's Lane, and as it were, how do I describe it? The piece of Knott's Lane that starts going up the hill, and then Knott's Lane bottom, there is a piece of land which was laid out as a sitting out area, which Councillor Mann has been involved in, and I think is still involved with trying to get it improved a little bit. And it used to, in the old days, to be a scrapyard. And yes, oh, got a map, gosh. Right, the land I'm talking about as being the amenity area is pink, next to it's pink there, yes, that Mr. Watson's pointing to. And then the land which has got planning permission is to the left, to the west of that. And the land, I think, the additional land we're talking about is that land which has a sort of strange shaped boundary there, yes, which is all overgrown and would require quite a bit of land remediation, land sorting out work doing on it, but could be included in a development, I'd have thought. But it will cost money to level it and to sort it out.
Yeah. Okay. Well, there's not a lot. There's no decisions to be made. There's no suggestions yet. So until we get a proposal or a suggestion with some details, it's pointless really discussing this any further, I think, unless anybody else wishes to say something. No, we happy with that? Lynn, I think we're now at item 13, so we need to have a consensus on excluding the public. So I will propose that we exclude the public and the press for the sensitive items. Is everybody in favour of that? I will hear nays against. If there's anyone against that proposal, I hear nothing, so I'm assuming that's unanimous. So we can switch off the feed, please, Lynn.